So Jamie Dimon of JP Morgan had to make an embarrassing admission Thursday night about losses in the corporate treasury unit. A lot of people have found things to gloat about in that. He's been fairly smug through the crisis and fairly against a lot of new regulation. But as we try to figure out what happened and learn from it, we still have a bunch of questions. Agnes, first of all, what really went wrong with these trades is something we're trying to get to the bottom of.
And obviously JP Morgan doesn't want to reveal what trades were involved, but I mean, it seems to be that it was, that the trades were in a credit derivative known as the CDX. It's an index that basically, it basically allows people to take a view on the credit markets, right? And again, I mean, in some ways, I don't think, for at least what I'm hearing and what I'm gathering, it's not that it was such a complicated trade. He may have used some more of the liquid parts of the area, but that is, it was essentially a way to kind of protect the firm against some kind of credit event.
Right, and this is what a lot of people do. There's no unique to JP Morgan that you hedge one thing with something slightly different because it's easier to do that.
The problem is, or certainly that the problem has seemed to come up in reports 5, 6, 7 weeks ago, is that the guys putting on these trades had taken on a big part of the market.
Right, which any clever computer model is probably not going to take account of. It'll tell you what trade to do, but not that you're going to move that market. And that seems to have been part of the problem.
The figures are up to 100 billion notional value of derivatives or whatever. This is to cover. I think this particular part of the Treasury division had 350 billion of excess liabilities to manage. So that looks like a very large amount in one particular part of the market.
And again, I feel like, and I feel like, for me at least, one of the questions is like, were these derivatives, were these positions just the cheapest way to actually hedge the book, which is problematic, right? Because again,
but there's an argument for doing things cheaply if it works or works reasonably well.
Right, exactly. But the other question I have is that, I mean, again, like JP Morgan is a much bigger bank than say 5, 10 years ago, and if there's a question of if these positions were big, is it also one of these unintended consequences of becoming so large that you actually can no longer hedge against like tail risk or just because your positions are going to move the market?
There's also a case that maybe you start sort of believing your own PR, that you've done such a good job over the crisis that you feel, look back to what Dimon and his chief financial officer were saying on the earnings call just 4 weeks ago, where this is a tempest in a teapot. I think Dimon described the talk about this particular unit, and they were very comfortable with the trade, said the CFO. So here we are.
So here's another question about that. This is one of the too big to fail banks still. We haven't sorted that question out. This was credit derivatives, which is a sensitive area, should be a sensitive area for regulators. What do we think the regulators were up to?
Well, I mean, again, I'm not sure because, again, like in this conference call a month ago, they were saying, hey, the regulators have seen our positions and they don't seem to have a problem, right? So, I mean, that's a little worrying.
They mentioned that, yes, the regulators see our position, but here's the thing, we don't really know what the regulator's done. Dimon hasn't said whether the regulators caused them to try and get out of some of these positions or not. But you've got to hope that the regulators are sitting there thinking, this is a really big position and you're dominating this particular part of the market, the CDX market. Is this really tenable for you guys?
But this could be an example of one of the problems that many people have identified, and we've identified, which is the regulators look over the banker's shoulder at the same screen, and if the banker's comfortable, then the regulator's comfortable.
And I mean, ultimately, giving them all the benefit of the doubt, ultimately, it looks like what they were trying to do was to protect the firm. I mean, basically do your job, which is to protect the firm against some kind of credit event. Clearly it went wrong.
In this case, we'll leave it there. We'll be keeping an eye on this. We'll also be asking who should, if anyone, should be carrying the can for this, and we'll have more breaking views next week.